The curse of the old Spanish gold mine in the Henry Mountains of Utah began more than 300 years ago. And just like most other legends of lost treasure, this story has both greed and tragedy. But just how much truth is behind the tale of the curse? For centuries, there have been rumors of gold in the Henrys, which is the common name for the Henry Mountains. Spanish explorer Silvestre Vélez de Escalante was the first European to map the Henry Mountains in 1776. He claimed the mountain range east of what is today Capitol Reef National Park for Spain. As the story goes, a few years later, more Spaniards came to mine the Henrys for gold, and they enslaved local Native Americans to work digging the ore. Once the gold was mined, it was sent via the old Spanish trail to New Mexico, and eventually made its way all the way back to Spain. It was said that the Spaniards grew rich on the gold from the mines, but it only lasted a few years. One day, the Spaniards were surprised by a large number of native warriors hiding in the hills. The Indians were revolting against their brutal forced labor, and they attacked the Spaniards. Although many lives were lost on both sides, the natives won, and every single one of the Spanish men were killed. The Indians filled the entrances to the mines with rocks to make sure they could not be used again. And then a curse was placed upon the mines and any person who would try to reopen them. For more than 100 years, the mines lay dormant, waiting for someone to challenge the curse. The next chapter of the story begins in the 1860s, when a man named Ben Bowman ran a station where exhausted horses and riders could rest before continuing their journey. The station was located about 100 miles southeast of the Henry Mountains. One day, a man by the name of Burke showed up at the station on foot, exhausted and sick. Burke told Bowman that he had been mining gold in the Henry Mountains, but then was attacked by Indians who took all his supplies and told him never to return. Burke told Bowen he had found the old Spanish mine and showed Bowen a gold nugget from the mine as proof. Immediately excited about making a fortune in gold, Bowen asked Burke if he would be his partner in a gold mining venture. Burke agreed to show Bowen where the mine was after he had recovered from his ordeal with the Indians. After a few months, Burke had recovered and the men were ready to start the trip to find the mine. They hired a man named Blackburn to help with the animals and other supplies. When they were close to the Henrys, Burke led Bowen and Blackburn to the mine. They immediately found gold. Bowen and Burke chipped off several hundred pounds of quartz filled with gold deposits. The men were so excited that they immediately began carrying the gold back towards their camp. Unfortunately, they were in such a hurry that they got lost amid the twisting canyons. They had nothing left to drink when they found a small pool of water. Bowen and Burke immediately drank the water and then became violently ill. Blackburn did not drink the water since he believed it was tainted, and he was right. They finally made it back to town and both Burke and Bowen survived. Blackburn said he now believed in the curse and refused to go back to the mine. He took his share of the gold and left. Bowen was convinced that the curse was real and was also ready to leave. But Burke insisted that the curse had nothing to do with their bad luck. He pointed out to Bowen that sickness from bad water was common to any wilderness trip. Soon, Bowen's greed overcame his fear of the curse, and he agreed to go back to the mine. While waiting to leave on the next trip, Bowen was stricken with a mysterious illness and died. 4 days later, Burke died. Blackburn, the third man that left earlier, lived, but said sickness and bad luck followed him for 30 years because of the curse. The next chapter of the legend begins in the early 1900s, when E.T. Wolverton, a mining engineer from Maine, came to southern Utah to search for gold in the Henry Mountains. Wolverton thought he had located the legendary old Spanish gold mine. With the help of his two sons, Wolverton built a gold ore crushing mill around 1921. He also added a saw for lumber to the mill. Wolverton used the saw to cut lumber for himself and also for neighbors who paid him for his services either in money or supplies. But Wolverton didn't run much gold ore through his mill. Occasionally, he would show up in town with a small amount of gold, but he never found the old Spanish gold mine. In 1929, E.T. Wolverton died at the age of 67. The mill he built still stands today as an example of the creativity and perseverance shown by many men that dreamed of striking it rich. Wolverton also left behind a manuscript he wrote that explains the origin of the curse, which is said to have come by a medicine man in the late 1700s. According to Wolverton, the exact words of the curse were this: "To him who reopens the mines will some great calamity come. His blood will turn to water, and even in youth he will be as an old man. His squaws and papooses will die, and the earth will bring forth for him only poison weeds instead of corn. Various other punishments will attend to him, too numerous to mention." So that is the curse of the old Spanish gold mine. And to this day, no one has been able to locate the entrance to the mine.